हरे कृष्णा। राम प्रभु जी। हरे
हरे
कृष्णा जी।
कृष्ण हरे कृष्ण हरे।
जय श्री प्रभुपाद। स्टार्ट विथ मंगलाचरण। ओम अज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः। नमः ओं विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिनिति नामिने। नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैता गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा। Okay, we'll continue with prayers. Amresh Prabhu, would you like to sing today? We have not heard you this week.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, Prabhu. Yeah, please go ahead. I'm sharing the screen. I'll also post the link. Yeah.
सुखं शयानं निलये च विष्णुं देवर्षिमुख्या मुनये प्रपन्ना तेनाच्युते तन्मयतं भजन्ति गोविन्ददामोदरमाधवेति विहाय नित्रम् अरुणोदये च विधाय कृत्यानि च विप्रमुखाय वेदावासने प्रपन्थि नित्यं गोविन्ददामोदरमाधवेति वृन्दावने गोपगानश्च गोप्य विलोक्य गोविन्दवियोगखिन्नं राधां जगोष श्रुविलोचनक्ष्वायं गोविन्ददामोदरमाधवेति प्रभातसञ्चार गतनुगावस्तद्रक्षणार्थं तनयं यशोदा प्रबोधयात् पानितलीनमन्दं गोविन्ददामोदरमाधवेति प्रवालसौवा इव दीर्घकेश वाताम्बुपा पर्णां सनपूतदेहा मूले तरुणं मुनयः पतन्ति गोविन्ददामोदरमाधवेति एवं ब्रुवाणा विरहातुराव्रसं व्रजस्त्रियकृष्णा विसिक्तमनास विश्रे वि- विस्रेज्यलज्जं रुदः स्मसु स्वं गोविन्ददामोदरमाधवेति गोपी कदाचिन् मणिपिञ्जरास्थं सुखं वचो वचयितुं प्रवृत्ता आनन्दकन्द व्रजचन्द्रकृष्ण गोविन्ददामोदरमाधवेति गोवत्सवालहे शिशुकाकपक्षं वदनान्तम् अम्बोज दलयत्काशम् उवाच माता शिवकं गृहीत्वा गोविन्ददामोदरमाधवेति प्रभातकाले वरवल्लभ भोगा गोरक्षणार्थं धृतवृत्रदण्डः आकार्यमाशुर अनन्तं मद्यं गोविन्ददामोदरमाधवेति जलाशये कालियमर्दनाय यदा कदम्बत् अपतान्मुरारे गोपन् गानश्च चक्रुशुर इत्यय गोप गोविन्ददामोदरमाधवेति गोविन्ददामोदरमाधवेति गोविंद दामोदर माधवेति. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Wonderful. Thank you so much, Amresh Prabhu. Anybody would like to read the translations from 21 to 30?
Hare Krishna Prabhu, I can read.
Yes, please.
Devarshi Narad and other munis are always surrendered to Lord Vishnu, who happily rests upon his couch. He always chants the name of Govinda, Damodar, and Madhava, and thus they attain spiritual forms similar to his. Rising at dawn, having performed their rituals and chanted Vedic hymns, the best of the learned Brahmanas always chant Govinda, Damodara, Madhava. In Vrindavan, seeing Sri Radhika overwhelmed with separation from Govinda, groups of Gopas and Gopis sang with tears in their lotus eyes, Govinda, Madhava, Govinda, Damodara, O Madhava. The cows having already gone out to graze early in the morning, Mother Yashoda gently roused her sleeping son with the palm of her hand, softly chanting, Govinda, Damodara, Madhava. With long matted hair, the color of coral, and the bodies purified by eating only leaves, water, and air, the sages sit beneath the trees and chant Govinda, Damodara, Madhava. After speaking these words, the ladies of Raja, who were so attached to Krishna, felt extremely agitated by their imminent separation from him. They forgot all worldly shame and loudly cried out, O Govinda, O Damodara, O Madhava. Sometimes a gopi engaged in teaching a parrot within a jeweled cage to recite names like Anandakanda, Vrajachandra, Krishna, Govinda, Damodara, and Madhava. The lotus-eyed Lord was tying the shikha of a cowherd boy to the tail of a calf when his mother caught him, lifted his chin and said, Govinda, Damodara, Madhava. In the morning, a group of his favorite cowherd boys arrived, stick canes in hand, to take care of the cows. They addressed the unlimited primeval personality of Godhead, Govinda, Damodara, Madhava. When Lord Murari jumped from the Kadamba branch into the water to chastise the Kalia serpent, all the gopis and cowherd boys went there and cried out, O Govinda, Damodara, Madhava. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you. Shri Govinda Damodar Stotram ki jai. Shri Mangal Thakur ki jai. Shri Prabhupada ki jai. Amarish Prabhu Nakshimuni ki jai. Yes. So with that, we'll continue with our Prabhupada Lilamrit reading. So yesterday, Chaitanya Charan Prabhu, in his talk, he was mentioning how the life journey is all about our struggle, or it's our endeavor to fight the power of temptations. So, like Bilomangal Bilomangal Thakur overcame his temptations. Similarly, Srila Prabhupada is teaching us and teaching his disciples here how to overcome the temptations of life. So you have to acknowledge the power of Maya, and we know the power of Krishna is, of course, much more than the power of Maya, but the power of Maya also exists. So yeah, he was teaching all his disciples over the past few weeks that we've been studying. And yesterday, they were acknowledging that how they were controlling their tongue, controlling their senses through the week. But now Prabhupada is teaching them how to organize this wonderful fest called as the Love Feast. So he was teaching them how to cook wonderful bhoga for the lordships, and then how to honor this prasadam. And also he was serving almost 50, he was cooking for almost 50 devotees, the Love Feast, with more than a dozen varieties of very delicious, succulent prasadam, as they are calling it. And they were having a feast yesterday with ISKCON bullets as their dessert, gulab jamun. And also Prabhupada yesterday remembered his initial days when he started printing Back to Godhead based on the instruction of his Guru Maharaj. So he was writing articles in 1930s, but he started printing the first publication of Back to Godhead in 1944. And now he was kind of handing over the reins to the next generation, to his disciples, to carry out the mission for their spiritual master, Srila Prabhupada. And they were so quickly, they had published the first volume, they had purchased a new printing press, and with that, they were on the verge of something wonderful. ISKCON's first press, and they were on the verge of publishing the first edition of Back to Godhead now. So we'll continue reading from here. Anybody would like to read today?
I can go ahead. Prabhu.
Yeah, Naren Prabhu, I heard you first. Yeah, go ahead, Naren Prabhu.
Suddenly, the side door opened, and to their surprise, they saw Swamiji looking in at them. Then he opened the door wide and entered the room. He had never come down like this on an off night before. They felt an unexpected flash of emotion and love for him, and they dropped down on their knees, bowing their heads to the floor. No, no, he said, raising his hand to stop them, as some were still bowing and others already rising to their feet. Continue what you are doing. When they stood up and saw him standing with them, they weren't sure what to do, but obviously he had to come down to see them, producing his back to Godhead magazine. So they continued working silently and efficiently. Prabhupada walked down the row of pages, his hand and wrist extending gracefully from the folds of his shawl as he touched a stack of pages and then a finished magazine. ISKCON Press, he said. Jagannath had designed the cover using a pen and ink drawing of Radha and Krishna similar to his painting in the temple. To his painting in the temple. It was a simple drawing set within a pattern of concentric circles. The first page opened with the same motto Prabhupada had used for years on his Back to Godhead. Godhead is light. Nescience is darkness. Where there is a Godhead, there is no nescience. And on the same page, Hayagriva had not been able to resist giving a quotation from William Black, approved by Swamiji, which substantiated the philosophy of Krishna consciousness. God appears and God is light to those poor souls who dwell in night. But does a human form display to those who dwell in realms of day? Although the editorial spoke of a black, white man and Jesus Christ, it stressed it is to teach the science of devotion of God that Swami Bhaktivedanta has come to America. His message is simple: the chanting of the holy name of God. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Following the orders of spiritual master, His Divine Grace, Srimad Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada, Swami Bhaktivedanta began the initial publication of Back to Godhead in 1944. This is bi-monthly, published from 1944 to 1956 in Vrindavan, India. Established Swami Bhaktivedanta as the leading personalist in India. This issue marks the first publication of Back to Godhead in the West. The main article, a summary of a lecture given by Prabhupada, was based on notes taken by Umapati. It has been said that when we wake up and when we go to sleep, we should beat our mind 1,000 times with a shoe. When the mind says things like, why sing Hare Krishna, why not LSD, we should beat it with the same shoe. However, if we always think of Krishna, no beating will be necessary. The mind will be our best friend. And there was an article by Hayagriva, Flip Out and Stay. Hayagriva had quoted liberally from Hart Crane and Walt Whitman. No wonder so many young collegiates are trying to flip out permanently on super drugs. Perhaps this is their way of saying, we don't want any part of his hell you have made for yourself. So they use psychedelics as a springboard to propel themselves into different realms. But the drug flip is only the temporary. It is temporary because it is artificial. One really begins to wonder where all these trips are leading. Hayagriva concluded that Krishna Kirtana is the quickest way to flip out without coming down. Your associates will think you mad. That is the first sign of progress. Just let others be mad for Maya, the old ephemeral lures of woman and gold, but be mad instead for the reality. So in the back of the magazine was an ad for Swamiji's SS, Krishna, the reservoir of pleasure and who is crazy, and notice. Soon be printed Gita Upanishad or Bhagavad Gita as it is, translated and commentaries by Swami Bhaktivedanta. Prabhupada's first and main instruction to his editors had been that they should produce the magazine regularly every month, even if they didn't know how to sell the copies, or even if they only turned out 2 pages, they had to continue bearing the standard. He called Hayagriva to his room and presented him a complete 3-volume set of his Srimad Bhagavatam. On the print page of each volume, he had written to Sriman Hayagriva Das Brahmachari with my blessings. A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Hayagriva was grateful and mentioned that he had not been able to afford them. Okay, that's all right. Prabhupada said, now you compile this Back to Godhead. Work sincerely and make it as big as Time magazine. Prabhupada wanted all his disciples to take part in it. Don't be dull, he said. Write something. He wanted to give his disciples Back to Godhead for their own preaching. Brahmananda and Gargmuni took the first issues out the same night on bicycles, riding to every head shop on the Lower East Side all the way to 14th Street and as far west as the West Village until they had distributed all 100 issues. This was an increase in the preaching. Now all his students could take part in the work, typing, editing, writing, assembling, selling. It was his preaching, of course, but he was not alone anymore. Over a short 4 months, the society had expanded sufficiently to warrant larger quarters than the small Second Avenue storefront temple, stated the editorial in the second issue of Back to Godhead. Prabhupada had not abandoned his idea for a big building in New York City. Greenwich Village real estate was too expensive and Midtown was out of the question, but Prabhupada still said he wanted to buy a building. It was difficult for his followers to think of Krishna consciousness as anything more than a lower East Side movement, because the people of the lower East Side, would be interested in Krishna consciousness, and anyway, who had money to buy a building in Manhattan. But one day, Ravindra Swarupa had happened to meet someone, a wealthy Jewish heir who was sympathetic toward youth movements, who agreed to loan Swamiji $5,000. Ravindra Swarupa had arranged the loan, and Swamiji had designed the money as his building fund, to which he had gradually added another $5,000 that he had collected through incidental donations, but with suitable buildings starting at $100,000, even this sum seemed pretty. Swamiji went with Brahmananda to look at a building on 6th Street that had previously been the Jewish Providential Bank. It had a large lobby with a mezzanine, marble floors, and the atmosphere of temple. Brahmananda suggested that the vault area could be remodeled for use as a dormitory, and the Swamiji considered the mezzanine for his own apartment. The large lobby, he said, could be used for kirtanas and lectures on leaving the building. However, Prabhupada noted that it was located on the corner by a bus stop. It would not be good location. The Gaudiya Math branch at Wagh Bazar in Calcutta, he said, was also located at the bus stop, and the noisy engines of the buses as they started up created a disturbance. Prabhupada next looked at the temple Imanu Yai, also on 6th Street on the Lower East Side. It was even larger than the bank building, and when some Swamiji disciples walked through the cavernous, empty rooms, they become bewildered to think how, even if they could get such a place, they would be able to manage or use it. He visited other places once so neglected and in such poor repair that it looked as though it had been vandalized, and another in similar condition, filled with the lumber stacked almost to the ceiling. He asked Rupa Anuga, who had accompanied him, what he thought, and Rupa Anuga said, too much time and money to fix it up. So they left. Swamiji returned to his room and went to the bathroom where he washed his feet. The tub, he said, it was an Indian custom that after walking outside, you wash your feet. Then the devotees met Mr. Price, an elegantly dressed real estate agent. You have a handful of stars, Mr. Price told Brahmananda. You are incorporated as a tax-free religious organization. You have no idea how much money this will save. So many people have a vacate just because they can't pay the taxes, but someone up there is looking after you people, and I have just the place for you and your Swami. Mr. Price showed Brahmananda a handsome 3-story building near St. Mark's Place. It was a good downtown location near the young people, yet in an area where the uptown people would feel safe. The flowers were polished hardwood. All the doors were ornately hand-carved, and it has a large hall suitable for a temple. The Marquis de Lafayette had stayed here during his visit in 1824, a fact that added to the building's charm and prestige. One evening, Mr. Price visited Prabhupada up in his room. Papa sitting on the floor behind his desk, Mr. Price sitting on a metal folding chair. Mr. Price wore an elegant suit and white dress shirt with cufflinks and scratch cuffs. His expensive dress, meticulously tanned face, and blonde hair, which some devotees thought was a wig, contrasted strangely with the Swamiji's simplicity. Mr. Price kept referring to Swamiji as Your Excellency, and he expressed much appreciation of Swamiji's work. He spoke optimistically about how, through his connection, he hoped to save Prabhupada a lot of money and trouble and get him just the place he wanted.
Awesome, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much. Hare Krishna. Yes, anything you'd like to share from today's reading? Oh, you're on mute, Naren Prabhu. Start
Oh.
speaking.
Yeah, Prabhuji, so much struggles only. I'm just, though it is a long story, but in short, how he struggled a lot, just to establish small thing to settle down a room for selling the books and creating a shop for that and following real estate agents and overall that's what I saw. And the distribution of the books from east to west side of that, like how he started the printing things in the beginning of today's reading, like that is also, I mean, overall, as we have been reading, right, step by step, so many things, there was a challenge, but he overcame because he was ambitious about what he has to do, right? So he overcrossed and succeed all the steps.
Yes. But yeah, as you were reading, it reminded us we have also seen so many properties for ISKCON Cincinnati for so many years.
Yeah, we
It
are
was-
also facing the same issue. But
yeah, at least we have some dedicated centers now. But yeah, when we started long ago, because initially we were doing home programs only, or we were renting community centers in Mason and some of this library rooms, etc. But yeah, at that time we started looking for churches and all these buildings, and there was some party halls, and so yeah, that reminded me of all those memories. Some were extremely well built, but the location was very off. Some were good places, but maybe we couldn't afford it. And some places we thought we will make it into temple finally, but eventually those didn't work out. So, but yeah, all of those memories. But yeah, also the things that Prabhupada was mentioning about, how he was saying when you go to bed or wake up, you should beat your mind with the shoe 1,000 times.
Yeah,
Right?
that isn't. Yes.
So it is again like tying back to what Chaitanya Charan Prabhu was saying yesterday. Right? We should acknowledge the power of Maya. Maya, of course, acts through our mind, and if we know Maya Devi is also serving the Lord, right? So Maya Devi has very special service, in this world, or actually in both the worlds. She tries to take us away from Krishna, in the sense that in the material world, Maya Devi will take us away from Krishna, make us forget Krishna. In the spiritual world, also Maya Devi serves, but there she will try to make us forget Krishna in a spiritual way, so that we can develop or we can enjoy transcendental relationships, rasas with the Lord, in different rasas, like when the parents of Krishna, Yashoda Maya, Nand Baba, they forget that Krishna is actually the Lord, right? Similarly, his friends, Gopas, they forget that Krishna is God. That's why they have that relationship of friendship, of Vatsalya, of parental love. Why? Because they don't think of Krishna as God, right? So again, that is the service of Yogamaya there, and so it's the same role she's performing in this world and in that world, that she makes the devotees forget Krishna, but in this world, she turns us away from Krishna, and in the spiritual world, it is more for enabling the higher taste, higher love for enjoying the relationship with the Lord in the different moods and different rasas. So, but again, it's all the play of Krishna, and Krishna being the absolute, just like Bhishma Dev, when he was fighting Krishna in Kurukshetra, he knew that Krishna is the Lord, right? But again, externally, if somebody looks at it, they'll say, "Oh, he's fighting with Krishna." And Krishna has also, had the promise of not fighting, but then he broke his own promise to fulfill the promise of his devotee, because Bhishma, they wanted to see Krishna in that mood of chivalrous mood of fighting. And in that mood, it is Krishna wants to give pleasure to his devotees. So even though externally it may feel like there was blood coming out of his body and he was wounded, but actually, because Bhishma, they wanted to enjoy that relationship, or that rasa of fighting with Krishna. Krishna enabled that for his pure devotees. So similarly, in this world, of course, mind is also Krishna. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita again, right? So that I am the mind. So it is not literally like beating the mind, but Krishna may have that mood of fighting with us to see how his devotees actually are able to get stronger and get out of the power of Maya. So we have to acknowledge the power of Maya, but we should know that the power of Maya is also subordinate to the power of Krishna. So, as he was saying, Krishna is far above, but he's not far away. He's always there with us, always as Paramatma in the heart. And if we acknowledge that, then like this Back to Godhead magazine, Prabhupada says, where there is light of God, where there is Godhead, there is no shines, there is no darkness. So similarly, when we acknowledge the power of Krishna, then the power of Maya automatically comes under control. I see Adi Guru Prabhu, you shared a link. Anything you want to share? Talk about that. Okay, maybe he's not on the call anymore. But yeah, but looks like Adi Guru Prabhu shared the link to the first Back to Godhead magazine. Looks like which is the one that we are talking about being published right now, and 100 copies were distributed by Srila Prabhupada's disciples. Maybe we can take a look at that. Yeah, it looks like he posted it was the very first BTG issue published, yes, in New York City.
And when we are discussing about Maya and Krishna, right, just we have learned yesterday what Maharaj was telling, right? Commander, Krishna is the commander. So Maya always deviate or distract us. But if Krishna is play as a commander for us, then mind will become friend of us rather than enemy of us. Because Maya always puller, like gravity puller for us. Gravity is nothing but material gravity, but he was telling about senses gravity. So that is the good thing.
Yes, Prabhu. Very nice. Thank you. Thank you for sharing, for your reflections, Naran Prabhu. Shamakarna Mataji, anything from your side? I think you also wanted to read. Maybe tomorrow or next week you can read.
No problem, Prabhuji. I will read. It's okay.
Yes. Thank you for your association. Hope everybody had a wonderful Nirjala Ekadashi, and we can now break our fast this morning. So we'll do that, and then we'll reconvene again today, at least for Cincinnati devotees at our center, for another session with His Grace Chaitanya Charan Prabhu. Okay, so we'll conclude here with the Vaishnava Pranam prayers. Vanchakalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya evacha patidanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. अनंत कोटि वैष्णववृंद की जय, जगत गुरु श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय, निताई गौर प्रेमानंदे, हरि हरि बोल, हरे कृष्ण।
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank you.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.